We've got nuclear missile silos, lots of different tanks, armored personnel carriers, howitzers, rocket artillery, air defense systems, ballistic missiles, tank transporters, fighter jets, early warning systems, naval ships, drones, anime turret characters, helicopters, cargo aircraft, strategic bombers, fighter bomber, refueling aircraft, a big-ass gun, an aircraft hangar, and a lot more. Today we're going to take a look at the Minecraft Military Force arsenal. You can see we have hundreds, literally hundreds of vehicles, and we're gonna do a 2025 review of it. There is a download link on my Patreon, and if you become a Patreon, you help support the channel because, as you know, YouTube, they pay me literal dog water, just a couple bucks per video. So thanks to all my Patreon supporters, you guys make these videos possible. Anyways, let's get started. In the front, where we have the tank section, quite large. I have a kind of like a Soviet section here. And then we have more of a Western stuff and then random tanks in general. So first off, let's go check out from this side and then I'll go to the other side. So first off, we have the M1A2 Abrams tank. This is in the Set V3, which is, I think, the latest version of the Abrams tank. I have a couple of them here. And you can see some have the turret backwards, some have the Tusk armor with the Crow system, which is a remote control turret for this gun. I also have it in the OD green, but they have green and brown. And then I also have this one in the NATO woodland camouflage. Then we have the M1A1. This is used in Ukraine with the ARAT system, and it's the SA, which is situational awareness, and they've added this cub cage armor around it because they kept getting destroyed by drones. So I actually have a couple of different variations of that. This one has plant matter around it, and this one has a lot more leaves. And then this one is just your standard green, OD green. And then I also have an Australian version of it as well. And next up, this is kind of like an Abrams tank prototype maybe. It's called a CAT TTB. So this one is in green. And I also have this one, it's the Thumper, M1 Thumper. It's a prototype. All right, then after that, we have a Leopard 1 tank, native woodland camouflage, German tank. Then we have the Leopard 2A4. This one has a more boxy turret. And then we have the Leopard 2A6. So pretty standard nowadays in NATO armies. And then I have it also with the turret facing backwards for transporting in a train. And then I have this one is a Leopard 2PL for Poland. So they have that Polish camouflage. Next up, we have the KF-51 Panther. It's a Rheinmetall project. So I don't know, they just made these neon green colors just for looks. And then we have the British Challenger 2 tank. This one has the Kursk offensive, you know, the armor. It's kind of like a bonnet or something, and this one's folded down. So I had that variation used in Ukraine, and then we have the Tan one here. And I think it's used in Iraq, and this one's in green. Then next up, we have the C1 Ariete from the Italian army for NATO, and behind it we have another one that's in NATO woodland camouflage, so same tank, different paint scheme. Next up we have the Leclerc tank from the French, and then next up we have the Type 90 from the Japan Ground Self-Defense Force, and Type 10. This is by Laffy. I do think we need a new design for that. Then this one also needs a new design, the K2 Panther, the Black Panther. This is by Zytrix, and myself also need a redesign. Next to that, we have the Chinese Type 99A tank, so it's kind of modern. And behind that, we have a Type 59 2 tank, commander tank. This is what the tank they used in Tiananmen Square. And then here we have the M60 tank by an Easy Leaf, very old. And then is the Iraqi Type 69 tank by Montez. After that, we have the Israeli Merkava tank. This is the Mark 4M Windbreaker. So have it in several different colors. Then here we have the Swedish Stridsvagn 103 S tank by Hisok and myself. And we have this North Korean tank. It's the Chunma-2 N2020. And there's actually several versions of it. And this is the Tianma-2, which is a similar tank. Kind of upgrade from the other one, I think. All right, now we have the World War II section. So that's going to be starting with the British, the Mark IV Churchill tank, followed by the T-34-85 Soviet tank. Then we have the KV-2, I think maybe it's a heavy tank. I don't know. Then we have the M4 Sherman, and there's a bunch of variations of it. So this one has a plow. This one has the hedgerow cutters in the front. And this one's the Sherman Firefly with the big ass gun, equipped by the British, I think. And then this one, it has the extra scuba gear, I don't know, snorkel. All right, now for the German side, we have the Tiger 1 tank. This is a classic design. And this one's in tan. You also have the Dripwagen right there. Not real, just a meme. And then the Tiger 2, it's a King Tiger. And then we have the Mouse, which I have in the Kubinka Tank Museum. All right, then we have World War I. So we have a bunch of these British Mark V tank. This one is a male. I also have the female version. And then this one is actually a hermaphrodite, so you can see a machine gun there. The other one has a big gun. And these ones in the back, they're actually like Mark IV tanks, so, you know, they're a bit different. I don't think they have that vent on the side. And then we have this German, this is the A7V Wotan. They might see this in a museum, and this is the original, you know, paint scheme, I think. They add some sort of camo. We have some French tanks, the Renault FT-17, which the United States kind of made their own clone of. The Saint-Chamond tank from 1918. See in the movie Quiet on the Western Front or something like that. And then I have some random Kogias tank here. And yeah, some Kogias Nightmare frames. I built this a long time ago. It's called the Sutherland. I don't know if any of you guys even watch Kogias. And then we have this rail section. So yeah, here we have this German Tiger tank on the Schwerer Plattformwagen. And then we have these stilts locking in place. And then here's the modern German tank cars. The whole little tanks. So got the Leopard, the Abrams. And then we have the American. This is a CPTX 89-foot flat car. So I did make a whole entire train of that. You can see it goes down all there. Then we have this green one for tanks. And I also have the Russian military flat cars. They have a couple different designs here. They actually have the train here with some VL60S. So this is actually the Belarusian railway, and then this is the Russian railway. And yeah, we have a bunch of vehicles, you know, lined up. And if we go further down past these BTRs, we have also coaches right there in the middle, and they have these box cars, carry personnel as well, and that goes on for a while. And then next door we have the CSX train. It's pulling some Abrams tank on these flat cars, along with some Bradleys. It's actually the old design, M109s and Hercules, and that's the end. All right, now for the Soviet tanks. Starting off over here, we have a T-55 tank. It's actually old, and these go actually in an evolution. This one has that cope cage on the top. Then next we have, I recently just finished this, the T-62 tank used by the Iraqi army during the Gulf War. And then here's just their standard green for the Soviet army. Then next we have the T-62M. So this is a modernized one, so you can see the added upgrade right there. Turret's a bit different. They added this armor here in the front of it. This one also has that roof, and they started adding another one, so that's a little variation. This is actually classic, the Russian turtle tank. So these drones, they actually have a drone jammer at the top, so it's well protected, but maybe you can't really see anything or turn the gun. Next up we have the T-64, extensively used by the Ukrainian armies. Of course we got the T-64BV mod 2017. And this one has mine plows in the front. And then here are some from the Kursk offensive with that, you know, bonnet. And next to that, we have the BVK. This is the commander's tank version. Ukrainian flag, and that's another variation with like a lot of antennas. And then we have T-64BM2 Bulat. So yeah. And apparently the one in the back, it just doesn't have that slat armor that we have right here. All right, next up we have the T-72s. So starting off with the T-72AV. So you can see the ERA armor, it's going to be different compared to later ones. We'll check them out. So yeah, here's what it looks like. And then I built one for the Ukrainian army, the 4th Tank Brigade. And then this one's Russian. So you can see it looks a little bit different because I added this top thing, the shield around the gun. Although in Minecraft, you can't really tell what army each of them are because they're both using white. And then here we have the T-72B. So again, the area armor is more like a circular shape turret. And then here we have that additional cage right there in the back that folds up. Another one is striker planes from the Soviet era. Then this one is going to be a Russian version of it, so we got a lot more white. And then next we have the T-72M1. This is the Lion of Babylon, used by Iraq War and Gulf War. Then next up we have the T-72B3 by myself and Thomas. So originally Thomas and I came up with the design, and then I just worked on it even more since the tutorial, so it's upgraded a lot since then, and I have it a couple different variations. And then you can see this one's the M version because it has that armor on the side. Alright, and then next up we have the T-80 section. So this one is the T-80BV standard, just green. Put this in a museum. And we have the PMC Wagner, the T-80BV Siberia. You might have seen this in Rostov-on-Don. And then over here, this is one of my favorites, or maybe the favorite, it's the T-80BVM. But yeah, definitely my favorite Russian tank. So yeah, it has that armor on the side. And then I also have a Ukrainian captured one. It's the Bunny. Yeah, I remember seeing it. I was really impressed with this tank, how it looks. And then here we have the T-80U from the 4th Guards Tank Division, which is the only unit that really uses these tanks. This one right here has a snorkel pipe here. Back, that's the only difference. I also have it in plain green, and again that one has that snorkel pipe in the back. Alright, then next up we have the T-80UK, and I think this is like a commander's tank for T-80U. So, you know, this whole section's a bit different. It has the antenna placement. Looks like it has 2 antennas instead of 1. And it also has the, what do you call it? The Stora 1 system, the red eyes right there in the front. Well, in Minecraft, I just use Wither Skull. So next up, we reach the T-84. These are made by Ukraine. We have the T-84 Oplot MBM Oplot. So here's how that looks like. I remember there's this guy who kept asking for this. And then we have it in green. And this one is in a different camouflage. Unfortunately, Ukraine doesn't really use this in combat. So there's just too little of them. And this one is the T-84U Oplot. So you can see it does have that store system. And the armor is not as good as the BM. The armor sticks out quite a lot. Now for the T-90, these are pretty popular in Russia. This is the T-90A Vladimir, so yeah. This is really iconic with those store eyes in the front. And then this one, I guess, is just facing backwards. Never mind, that's a T-90M, so that's the successor to the T-90A. And this is what Russia is producing now, the Pro Reef, which means breakthrough. As Russia's, main tank they're using. At least main advanced tank. This one says it has fuel tanks, so I have a couple of different variations of that. And then this is by Needle's request. I added it with the Nikitka. These are like anti-thermal sort of material that absorbs radar or something. Then I have a like Cope cage on top, Russian flag that I saw somewhere. And then we have the T-14 Armada, which is just a parade tank. Russia doesn't really use this. But, that is the new design. And now if we go off to the side, we have a couple of ICBMs. So right here, it's just launched from the submarine. It's the Trident D5, I believe. US Naval Nuclear or Nuke. Then here we have the Minuteman III. And I believe these are like in North Dakota, so I have one firing off. Then I have the actual missile silo. It's stored right up in there. And then this blast door, opens up. And they have all these poles around it, and this is what it looks like when it is closed. I also have like the individual missiles here for Minuteman III. A couple different paint schemes. Maybe you might see in a museum. Then right here, I just added this from my other world. Just the anti-scale fence, they used in Washington, D.C. I also have the Russian ICBM nuclear missile silo. So this one is the Topple M. So I can see this hatch open up. And then this one, when it looks like closed, and here's when it looks like it's stored in there. And then to the side, we have some aircraft hangars. So this one is for the F-16. So here's what that looks like. A pretty cool design. And I have 2 of them next to each other. Then we have this one, has, both of the doors opened up. And I believe I made this for Ulsan Air Base. I also have the A-10 Warhog. So yeah, this is a larger hangar just for the Warhog and does have full interior. This is like this thing in the back. Then here's what it looks like with it closed. Then behind it, I built this with Martacha. This is the C-130 aircraft hangar. So this one also does have an interior, but it's like for maintenance. But you can also put like Blackhawks in here as well. And then here is my first full-scale gun. This is the M1A1 Thompson, used in World War II. We have the iron sights. And I just built this because I have a fond memory playing Call of Duty 2, and this is the main weapon the United States infantry was using. I also have this Hesco Bastion barrier. So these are just like bags filled with dirt and then this wire mesh around it, so that keeps it in place. It can make barriers really easy in like Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria. Then I do have a little set here. This is Putin's office when he declares special military operation. I used it for animation. And then here I have the PMPM or PP 2005, the pontoon bridge used by the Russian army. Going across. Then we have like the boat that helps set it up as well. And I also have like the different sections. Bridge section, this one's the coastal link that you put on the very edge of it. Then here are all the nuclear missiles all together. Then here I have a different type of bridge. This one is the TMM3. So yeah, this one's it just looks like that. And then, you can roll tanks across it. That's just another type of bridge. I also have some aircraft hangars right here on the side. These are by an Easy Leaf. And then next to that, we have a little tent. I made this a while ago, made a tutorial of it. Does have an AC in the back. And then here is like the foxhole. Yeah, this is a very, popular tutorial, even though it's kind of simple, but it's more complex than you would think. And then here we have the Naval Sea Mine. It's a German World War II EMC Contact naval mine. These are actually kind of iconic looking, so I decided to build one. And here we have the military porta potty, also pretty popular. Kind of funny build, but it's really necessary in a military base. Then here I have some redstone. These are like barriers that I could put up. I don't know if this works. Yeah, this doesn't work because this map, the redstone doesn't connect. But you can kind of imagine how it works. This thing would lower down. As well as these things, these should like go up and down. If you download it in your world, it should work. By the way, this aircraft hangar does have this back section. Anyways, back to the vehicles. We have the infantry fighting vehicles, IFVs. So this one's pretty new. This is a CV9030N used by Norway. Even though it is a Swedish vehicle, there's someone on Minecraft Military Force who's actually operating this Norwegian army. Shout out to Sean. And then we have the CV9040 used in Ukraine. So yeah, it's pretty similar. It just has this Hope cage shell thing in the back. I really need to figure out the name for that. And then we have from the Netherlands, this is the YPR 765. It's with the PRI 50. I also have it with the 25mm gun, so this one's more large scale. Yeah, these were sent to Ukraine by the Netherlands, so I have a couple different liveries of that. Then next up we have the Puma IFV by Lafayette and myself, used by the German army. This one, I think it needs a redesign, maybe just fix up the camouflage. It's a cool thing about this one, has kind of an interior. All right, after that we have the Marder 1A3, also sent to Ukraine by its German. And then we have the BMP-3 with this big gun. This one has camouflage. And then we have the BMP-2. This one's pretty iconic. And then we have the BMD-4M used by the VDV. This one's just facing backwards. And we also have the BMP-1. So the original one's just 4 blocks wide compared to 5 blocks wide on the other ones. And then after that we have the BMD-2 used by the VDV as well. And then this one has all in green. So next up we have the MRAPs. So first of all we have the Cougar HG. This is the Mastiff. I think it's like some kind of British modification. Yeah, these were sent to Ukraine along with the Cougar H. This one's a 4x4. And this one's all in green. And then we have the 6x6 variation of it. So just another axle. And the armor here in the back looks kind of different. And then next up we have the Oshkosh MATV. So here's a couple of different variations. This one's with the crows. And then next to that, we have the RG-31 Nyala, developed in South Africa. I think South Africa, they came up with MRAPs, which is mine-resistant, ambush-protected vehicles. And this one is a RG-33, so kind of similar vehicle. And then this one's RG-33L, so I guess another axle in the back. Then from Canada, we have the Rochelle Senator MRAP. And then we have by Hisok, this one's a Buffalo MRAP, I think. Probably need to redesign this because it's pretty old, as well as this one. Also built by Hisok, this one's Oshkosh LATV. And this one has a different turret. Next up, we have this Russian, this is a Kamaz Typhoon K MRAP. And then this one is actually the MP, so military police one you might see in like Syria. And then we have this one, it's a Max Pro MRAP. I also have it in green. Next up is the Humvee section. So we have a ton of Humvees. So guys can look at all the different variations of colors and loadouts, and like they are very different. This one has fences in the back, so yeah, there's actually quite a lot of them. So I don't want to go over all of them, but here's the ambulance one. And then this one has a tow launcher for anti-tank, and this one's just like a shelter in the back. These ones are armored and also have the trailers to go along with it. These ones are like generators, so you guys can really customize this if you build it. All right, then after that we have the Bradley section, which I also have a ton of. So this one right here is M2A3 Bradley, so the woodland camo. We have it in tan. Then these ones here, they are the M2A2 ODSA, so these guys sent to Ukraine. So a couple different variations of it, and you can see like the gun kind of raised on this one, or this one. The toe is raised, and this guy has the Brat armor on the side, so extra reactive armor, I think. Ukrainian flag, so yeah, lots of that. Alright, next up we have some armored personnel carriers. So here we have the Rochelle Senator, but this one's the APC version, so less armored than the MRAP. The Ukrainian, the Cossack 2 M1. And then we have the Russian, the Gaz Tiger. And here it is with the open doors that you see in Kharkiv. And then here's the M113 built with Thomas. So it's 10. We have an ambulance here in the back. And this is a command post. It's the M577. Alright, then we have a striker. This is the M113 MEV. So it's the ambulance variation. Then we have MTLB. This guy's pretty short, like a Soviet APC. And here we have the Striker ICV with the slat armor, and this guy's with the tow missiles, the ATGMs. We also have the armored security vehicle, the Guardian M1117. Then this is German ATF Dingo 2. And it looks like the Striker, the ICVs. Okay, I guess the other one just has slat armor. This one's like the standard one. I should have them next to each other. And then we have the Bushmaster PNV. Australia sent these to Ukraine. Then this one has an EOS remote weapon station up over there at the top. Then here we have the Korean K808 White Tiger. This one has one less axle. Then we have the Ukrainian BTR 3E1. And this one is a BTR MDN, I think used by the VDV. And then we have the BTR-4 Bucephalus, also used by Ukraine. I also have it in camouflage. And then we have the BTR-82A, and after that it's a BTR-80. Okay, next up we have some light utility vehicles. So first of all we have the Fuchs, the TPZ-1, German Army. And then this is by the Wehrmacht, the half-track. SDKFC 251 camouflage version. And here's the M3A1 half-track used by the US Army. And we have the Korean K152 APC, and I have apparently a couple different variations of the Ray Cult, I believe. Yeah, all 4 of those are Korean. And then we have the M1301 ISV infantry squad vehicle. I've seen this recently, the parade in DC. And then we have the Halo Warhog by Kabi. And this by Mikhail Paka, the Toyota Hilux is a technical truck used in the various Toyota wars and stuff. And then we have the Willys Jeep from World War II. Have a couple different variations of that. And then we have the UAZ 465, Soviet truck, and the UAZ 452, the Scooby-Doo van. I have two of those there. Back here, this one is a Ural M72 motorcycle, which they still use. It kind of has like this box on the side. So the next up, we have the UAZ 69, this old Soviet truck. I have a couple of them. This one's Cup Cage. So they have crazy designs. This one's actually a 469, so kind of similar looking. And I have this MAN TGS LX truck. It was like a video. These guys were hauling, a bunch of Russian military equipment on this. So a bunch of those trucks and like motorcycles stacked on top of here. All right, so armored fighting vehicles. We have the Terminator, the BMT Terminator. So yeah, it has that camo. This one has armor on the side. This one has the, I don't know, the St. George stripe thing. Then we have this one is by Mark Thatcher. It's the Royal Dutch Army Boxer. Also need a redesign. I don't really like the camouflage for this. Cool thing about it, the back does open up. All right, next up for reconnaissance vehicles. Starting off here with the BRDM2 used by Ukraine, camouflage and then plain green. And then we have the Fennec. These are two of them by, this one's the German one, this one's the Netherlands one, the Dutch one, so have, different variations. These guys just have this camera thing that's going down. Then after that, we have the FV-101 Scorpion CRVT for the Irish Army. And behind that, we have the Type 87 RCV Black Eye from Japan. It's also by Japan's Komatsu LAV. I have a couple of different variations of that. For the next row, I think this is like ballistics or something. So right over here, we have the Type 12 anti-ship missile used by Japan. So this one's launching. I believe they're upgrading the design to like further the distance. And then here we have the Ukrainian Neptune missile mounted on a Thatcher truck. So I have the actual missile. It's like the prototype missile, the actual missile that's used. All right, and then next up we have the Iskander missile system. Yeah, this one is the Iskander M. So you see they added a lot of camo to this. They have a different variations like cage thing around it, so they can add in nets. And they're actually using MZKT. I believe that's like Belarusian. So here it is, transport mode. You can see the missiles are also different. And then here we have the Tochka U, the OTR-21. I have a couple of that, Soviet and Ukrainian. And then here is the Scud TEL by Sunset Aurora. This is used by the Iraqi army. Really need to redo this. The next up we have these random missiles. So right over here, this is a KH-22. Russian, maybe cruise missile, I think. It's a KH-32. That's definitely a cruise missile. And then we have the Storm Shadow from the UK. And I guess this is like, they extend the wings in flight. Then this one's attack him, so I built a couple of them. And after that is going to be the Kinzhal. I have like two versions of it since I'm building a different, you can pick whichever one you guys like. So next up we have the ICBM launcher. This is the RT2 PM2 Topple M by Noodles. This is pretty old, so I want to redesign this. And then after that, we have the rocket category. So right over here from World War II is the Katyusha BM13N. It's on a Studebaker US-6, which is an American truck. So America supplied a lot of trucks to the Soviet Union. Yeah, I learned Studebaker's company that exists. And here we have the TOS-1A flamethrower. I forgot the Russian name for it. It's like Solosnik or something. And then we have the transporter version, the TZM2 loader. So you can see covers, this one actual rockets, and this one's empty. All right, so after that we have the BM30 Smerch. So this one's in transport mode, and then this one's ready to fire. And the one in the back just has the Russian, markings side. And over here we have the Ukrainian Vilka MLRS. So it's kind of similar, but maybe it's like upgraded. So I have two of them right there. Then we have the BM-27 Oregon. Soviet Union. It's like Russian markings. This one's ready to fire. And this one is Ukrainian. All right, next up we have the Grad. So the BM-21. I have a couple different variations on different chassis. So this one's Ural 375D. Then after that we have the Ural 4320. I see the front's different. And then I added like this one. And in Russian they call this the Mangal, which is like barbecue grill. And yeah, that's pretty interesting to make. And here I have it, with the markings side. And, different trucks, because this one has like that, versus the small snorkel. I also mounted it on a Kamaz truck as well. It's quite rare, but they have that. And this one's Ukrainian on a crash truck. Okay, now for assault guns. So this is the Japanese. The Type 16 MCV. And then for World War II, it's ISU 152 Boy. And we have the Wehrmacht Stug 3 by Kayato and myself. Also need a redesign. And we have a Stryker MGS system and the French AMX 10 RCR. Next up, we have the Ukrainian MTLB 12. So they mounted this on the MTLB. And then next up, we have, this is really small, the Coronet ATGM. So that's a launcher firing the missile, anti-tank missile. And then here we have Malva. So it's mounted on a BAS chassis. And I have this one, ready to fire. And this one is actually the Jiansint K. So it's slightly different. You can really tell different because the muzzle right here, that's really thick, while this one's really thin. There's lots of other small differences. Then we have the M109A6 Paladin, used by U.S. Army for artillery, self-propelled howitzer. Then this one is that ammo loader field ammunition supply vehicle. Then we have this tiny howitzer. It's a M119 by an Easy Leaf. Then we have the M777, so I have it in tan and then green. And then here it's pulled by a crash truck for Ukraine. And then we also have the MT-12 anti-tank gun. And this one's ready to tow, and I have it towed with the crash truck as well for Ukraine. And then here we have the 2S7 Pion, which is some kind of flower, because it makes a flower at the end of the barrel when you fire it. It's really loud. It has an alarm system, so that's ready to fire. And this is a shell cart for it. Then next to that, we have the Ukrainian. This is the Bodana. So I have a couple different variations. I think like the 4, 3, and then 2 and 1. So it's ready to fire. See, they mounted on different chassis. So I have like pretty much all the Bodanas you want. So next we have the Mistas S howitzer. So this one has a lot of markings. This one has less. And this one is burnt out in a fire or something. We also have the Golfstika, the 2S1. And the Akatsiya, the 2S3. And then after that, we have the South African G6 Rhino. Another livery for that. And then we have the German PZH 2000. The Panzerhaubitze 2000. Ready to fire. And then we have the Czechoslovakian or Czech Army, the Dana, a VZ77. So this is like in a neon kind of green ammo, and this one's just plain green. And here is the K9 Thunder for South Korea, and this is the loader for it. All right, next up we have some more rocket artilleries. This is the M270 MLRS. I have a couple different variations of that, including one for Japan. And then we have the HIMARS, and yeah, these are really used in Ukraine a lot. So that's a smiling HIMARS, ready to fire, transport mode. So that's it for that. And now for the boat section. So this is like that boat that was used for the PMP bridge. And then here I have a Kamaz truck actually like pulling it. Then here we have a D-Day Higgins boat, LCVP. So what I didn't really know about Higgins boat before is that this thing is on angle up. So it's not like a straight across. So that's one of the things I learned. And then here is by Montes, is a Coast Guard Defender boat. And then we have the Ukrainian Magura 7. It's a sea drone mounted with some sidewinders. Then we have an Amtrak AAV-7 used by the Marine Corps. This one has the extra armor, I think. And then we have the LVT-4 Buffalo by Hasuk and myself. I think it also needs a redesign. Then we have an LAV-25 used by the Marine Corps. All right, next up for the anti-air section. So this is recent. It's a Hawk missile launcher. And then we have the Avenger. It's mounted on a Humvee. And then we have the OSA. I recently learned in Russian, OSA means wasp. And then we have MLTB with this random naval gun on top. That's pretty funny. And then this one has an anti-aircraft one. Back the Kamash truck. And then we have the Strela 10 surface air missile. These are used quite a lot. And then we have the Flak 88 used by Germany World War II. It's very iconic by Laffy. After that, we have a C-Ram mounted on a trailer. And then we have this Finnish Unimog ITO 2005 as radar. And then we have the Buck M1. The pretty iconic, Soviet surface-to-air missile system. And also have it with them folded in. There's several different colors. This one's supposed to be Russian. Then we have Ukrainian. Then this one, I guess, is just plain green. And then we have the Flak Panzer Gepard, the German, pretty old and retired, but this back in service in Ukraine. Have a couple of that with the radar down, green, and it's like the Japanese one, Type 87 gun tank. And then we have the Soviet one. This is the Tunguska. These are pretty interesting designs, and yeah, a couple different variations. And then we have the Shilka SPAG, another type. And now for the Panzer. So right over here we have the Panzer S2 transport mode, radar up. And this one is the Panzer S1, so the older one, but it's in the Arctic. You can see the radar is pretty different, it's more boxy. And this is the Iris T, developed by Germany. So I have the missile launcher, transport mode, the radar, and the command center. So all the parts. We have the Patriot system. Unfortunately, I don't have the radars for this. I have the HEMET, the Patriots on trailers like this. All right, then next up we have the THAAD, the really high, surface-to-air missile system, really advanced. And then, sorry, I kind of mislabeled this. That's supposed to be THAAD. These guys are actually the Typhon, which is a newer system to launch Tomahawks. So yeah, they have this trailer here, the Battery Operations Control Center, and then here's the actual launchers, which are pretty much shipping containers, and they just fire missiles out. All right, then next up we have the S-400 used by Russia. So I have a couple different variations. So this is the MAS chassis, but they also have one where they have the BAS. So it's kind of cheaper to make these trailer ones. And I have a transport and launching in the St. George stripe or whatever. I also have the S-300. So these are used by Ukraine. So this is what it looks like. Ready to go. And this is the S-300 PS, while this one is the S-300V, so they're very different. And then we have the Norwegian NASAMS. This one is the Dutch one. The one in the back, that's the Norwegian camouflage. This one's just green. The US actually uses this as well to defend Washington, D.C. All right, and then over here we have a bunch of these aircraft carrier vehicles, including the Tilly crane and a bunch of random forklifts. All right, so the next section is fuel. So we reached the trucks. So here we have a Ural truck, got a Kamaz truck, we got another ATZ-5 fuel truck. So I think these two are the same, they're just different colors. They have a sandbox at the top. It's called Pisak in Russian. And then we have this one, it's International R11 fueler. So this is what you use for aviation. And these guys are HEMETs. And they're used for general tanks and stuff. And then we have some MTVs with these fuel trailers. And we have some crash trucks. These are used in airfields. And then we have the MAN SLT2 Mammoet by Laffy tank transporter, because this is the tank transporter section. So I do have a bunch of these MAS 537 trucks. So these are little variations. You can see here in the middle, these things are different. The markings as well. And I have some like tank transporting trailers. See, these guys have the ramp lower down. One's up, and this trailer is actually different. It has one less axle. Over here, see Ukrainian painted yellow. It's really bright. And then I also have some KAMAZ tank transporters, KRAS, carrying a Pion, some more KRASs. And then we have the M1070 for the US Army. Then we have a bunch of these random trailers that you can attach to these MTV trucks. These are the M1088 tractor trailers. You attach the trailers. Then we also have the HEMTT wreckers. So the M984. And that's the A4, and I think this one's the A2. And then this one, it just has an armored cab used in Ukraine, so it has the Ukrainian flags right there. I also have the trailers for the MTVs, so, different tarps and paint jobs. And yeah, these are all the MTVs, so if you guys want to check out all of them, download the map. And you might see some variation, like this one's like unarmored cab versus the armored cab. They look kind of different. And then over here we have the expandable van shelter. So this thing kind of pops out like that. Then over here we have some more HEMTTs. These guys are the PLS, or palletized load system. The guy's gonna add these trailers on top of it, carrying containers or like a random Humvee or other pallets. These are flat racks. And actually this one is a LHS. So you can see between these guys, this one has one less axle, kind of similar but different. Here's the regular M977 cargo truck. That one's probably an A2 or something. And now for the engineering category. So right up here, this is the assault breacher, the M1150 ABV. We have it firing in green and in tan. The mine plows raised and lowered, so customize that. And then here is the M104 Wolverine Assault Bridge by an Easy Leaf. And then we have the M9 Ace. It's kind of like a construction bulldozer. Have it in green as well. And the M88 Hercules Armored Recovery Vehicle, also by an Easy Leaf. And then we have some mine rollers. So here's a Striker ESV raised up. And then we have some EOVs. So KAMAZ excavator and the Ural as well, used by the Russian army. And these are the BMR-3MA. So these are like mine clearing vehicles used by Russia. And then we have the Meteorit, the UR-77. So this thing kind of pops out and fires a charge. Then we have the TMM-3 bridge layer. Guy's in transport mode, and that guy is actually a smoke machine or something. TDA-3. Then we have this BMR-2. This is the older one. Mine clearing vehicle used by Ukraine. Then we have some pontoon bridges. These are the transporting trucks, which also have this crane in the back to set it up. And this guy is the coastal link. Alright, so this is the last row for the road vehicles. So here are some Japanese trucks. So right over here, this is the Type 73 heavy truck, or Ogata truck. And yeah, these are kind of different, because this one has a water tank in the back trailer. This guy has no tarp. These guys, they close the tarp in the back. This guy's more open. And then we have the medium truck. This is also a Type 73, but it's the Chugata. So Chu means middle. So I have a couple of different variations, including an ambulance. All right, next up we have a bunch of these gas trucks. They're old Soviet. They're really tiny. A couple of them here. That one got an armored module, and this one has an anti-aircraft gun. I think this one's a smoke generator. And after that, we have some crash trucks. So this one has a 6x6. This one's a 4x4. Then, yeah, different variations of that. And then we have the KAMAZ trucks. So, yeah, there's lots of different KAMAZ trucks. I recently updated design. So here's the 4350 used by the Russian army. Here's the older 4310 version of it. And I believe I have a third version of the KAMAZ, 43114. Maybe that one's a little bit different. That has an armored module. And then we have the Ural section. So we have a couple different ones here. Yeah, there's just way too many trucks, but you can see they are a little different. And these guys are the older Kamaz. You see the grill is very different from the other ones. Then we have ZIL. This is a really old company, but they're still used. The ZIL 131. And take a look at all of that. And here it is with the Kung, the armored module. This one's a decontamination vehicle. Then all by its lonesome, it's a MAS 6317 truck. So yeah, just have two of them here. This one has one less axle. All right, the next up is the German Army RMMV UTF 8x8. One has a 6x6. The next to that, we have the US Army, the M939 series. Maybe like Iraq War era. And then this one's like in tan. Next up, we have some airfield vehicles. So right over here, we have a starter truck, the Ural APA 5D. In transport mode. And then we have the street cleaner. This is the PM130 airfield cleaner. And then we have this MAS tractor. And then we have the ZIL airfield air tanker. So it's actually an air compressor or something. And then this one, I think it's the same thing. I just like opened up the panels here on the side and the back. And then over here we have this MAS 5334. It's a field truck for aviation. I have in like 3 different liveries. And now for the 2.5 to 1 scale. So this is a scale I thought was going to be the future, but then I kind of quit because I thought you would add a lot more detail, but at the same time I didn't want to abandon everything else that I built. It's 1.5 to 1, so let's just stick to that. But yeah, we have some vehicles here like the Humvee, real like how the guy came out. An Abrams tank. Got a HIMARS here in the back, and a lot of them, they're really incomplete because I just gave up. So I kind of half-assed this. So here's a BTR-82A. Here is a Stryker MGS. The Japanese Type 10 tank. The T-80BVM. It's the Bunny. The Gas Tigger. Panzer S2. Tiger 1 tank, and the M4 Sherman tanks. And that's supposed to be from the movie Fury, but it looks kind of weird. Sorry about that. And here we have some Kamaz trucks. This one has a visor on it. And then we have the Oshkosh MATV and some Hemet trucks. And this one is kind of like a wrecker. And in the back, these are kind of new. These are the T-64 BV, add camouflage to it. And then we have this Russian T-73B3 Z marking. I also have some aircraft here like the F-16 Falcon and the Ka-52. And yeah, I was planning on adding a lot more detail, but again, I just gave up on it. And then here is the Mi-24 Hind for Ukraine. All right, so now let's go check out the aviation section of this. So yeah, this one is pretty huge. I guess we'll get started all the way at the very edge here. So first of all, we have the U-2 spy plane, the Dragon Lady by Zytrix. Then we have the SR-71 Blackbird, one of the fastest planes. Then we have the AWACS section. So starting off with the E-2 Hawkeye. They have the folded wings. And then in the back, we have the Beriev A-50 Russian radar plane. Then we have the Swedish radar plane. This is the Saab 340. Now, World War II section, we have the Nakajima B5N2 Kate by Laffy and myself, and there's a couple of different liveries of that. And then we have the F4U Corsair by Kabi and myself. And then we have the Yakovlev Yak-3 by Kayato and myself. And this is by Hey It's Pat. This is a Sopwith Camel. So this World War I aircraft. And then we have a P-51 Mustang by Subby. And we have the Messerschmitt ME-262 by Kayato himself. And then we have the Supermarine Spitfire by Subby. And this BF-109 German plane. Then next up we have the Mitsubishi A6M0. Used by Japan during World War II. Couple variations of that. And now for some modern day aircraft, we have some MiG-29s. So this one's a MiG-29UB. One's a single seater, the anti-Mikola scheme. One's like the black one. I also do have it in a standard camouflage. We have a Polish one. And we have this Russian one. And then we have this Ukrainian Falcons one. All right, next up we have some F-16. So these are the Thunderbirds, the U.S. Air Force, display team. And in the back is the Russian Knights, this Su-35S. Here's what that looks like. And next up we have the F-14 Tomcat. This is swept out wings like that. And then we have a Su-27UB, so it's a twin-seater in the Ukrainian floor scheme. It's kind of an older scheme than the digital camo. And then the one in the back, it just has these anti-Mikola flag here at the tail. All right, next up we have the F-15E. It's a Strike Eagle for ground attack during the night. And then we have the F-16C for aerial combat. And this is a Japanese F-15J. All right, and then over here we have a Su-27. It's for the Russian Air Force. So next up we have the F-35. So F-35A. Then F-35B with the Marine Corps with the vertical takeoff, and the F-35C with the folding wings, so larger wingspan carriers. And in the back, there is a Russian Su-35S. All right, next we have the F-22 Raptor, the U.S. Air Superiority Fighter Jet. It's really cool. And this one has drop tanks, the under wings. Here it's pretty old. This is a Harrier II. Alright, next door is the Su-33, used by the Admiral Kuznetsov for the Russian Navy. Although it's out of commission, maybe might be scrapped. That's folded wings. Then we have this Ukrainian digital camo Su-27. Yeah, this is a beautiful aircraft. And also have it with the older Splinter camo. And it also has a green nose. Alright, next we have the RAF. This is the Hawk T1. These are the red arrows. You might see this display team. I've seen it in real life one time. And then we have the Su-30 SM. This is actually by Toxel. Quite a large aircraft twin-seater, and I have like dark camo as well. And at the back we have a Ukrainian Su-27. This one's called the Compass Gray Ghost. Alright, next up we have the F-16 Fighting Falcon for the US Air Force. A couple of that, and then here's the Japanese F2 Viper 0. The next we have some Eurofighter Typhoons. This is Luftwaffe from Germany. Also have the RAF. And back here is actually a Rafale from France. And then in the back we have an L-39 Albatross, a trainer. It's Ukrainian. So next up, Su-57. This is Russia's, I guess top aircraft, but they don't really use it much. The Su-57 Felon. And yeah, this one's in the gray. One's slightly bluish in appearance. And next up we have the Hungarian. This is a MiG-23MF. Wings out and wings in. Then we have a Swedish Gripen fighter jet. And then we have the Korean FA-50 Golden Eagle. Alright, next up we have the J-20 from China, stealth aircraft. The Mighty Dragon. We have some FA-18s, so this one is the E Super Hornet. And yeah, I have folded up wings and then open cockpit and some other modifications. Along with the Blue Angels, I have twin-seater as well, which they call the F. Alright, and then for the next row down here, we have the EA-6B by Omega, also known as Maverick. And this is actually quite new. I'll add this in the next Arsenal update, but this one is a MiG-21 used by the Croatian Air Force. So twin-seater, or single-seater, and then, yeah, a couple of their variations, and this one's actually Soviet. Then next up, we have the MiG-25 Foxbat. So, yeah, older aircraft, but it looks really cool. And then we have another one with a loadout in the back. Alright, then the other one, it's a MiG-31 Foxhound. So these two aircraft, they look kind of similar, but this one, you can see the landing gear is actually different. The wheels are a lot smaller, still used in combat. One in the back is actually equipped with a Kinzhal under the belly. Then over here is the EA-18G Growler for electronic warfare. So they have extra, stuff on the wings and like antennas. Alright, and then over here from Ace Combat, this is the X-02 Viverin. Someone actually commissioned this. It's a sci-fi aircraft. Alright, so next section is going to be helicopters. So this is kind of like a semi-helicopter, the Osprey. So these are the CMV-22Bs used by the US Navy. Have it transforming as well. And then we have the Mi-26 the largest mass-produced helicopter. So I have in gray with the drooping blades and the one sticking out like that. Well, and here it is in camouflage. Looks really nice. Then we have the UH-1 Huey. I recently upgraded design for it. So yeah, it's a new design. You guys will see this in the next Arsenal update. And yeah, this one's closed doors. This one's a medevac one. All right, then next door we have the UH-60, a Blackhawk used by the HUR Directorate. So it's kind of Ukrainian military intelligence. And then this one's a US Coast Guard Jayhawk, for maritime stuff. Then we have this UH-60M Blackhawk used by the US Army. A couple different variations, including the medevac one. And then next we have the V-280 Valor. It's kind of like an up-and-coming aircraft, maybe they'll enter service, I don't know. And in the back we have this Japanese SH-60J Seahawk, so it's just a Japanese one. Alright, next up we have some Mi-24 Heinz. So this one is the P, the gunship for Ukraine. And then behind it, this is a Mi-35M used by Russia. And it comes in gray as well. Also different, if you look at the blades, they have 4 blades. While Mi-24, they have 3 blades. Alright, and they also have the Mi-24V. This is ex-Czech, I believe. And behind it, we have another one, slightly different livery. Alright, next up we have the Little Bird by An Easy Leaf. And then we have an AH-1Z Viper by Kabi and myself. And after that we have an AH-1S Cobra for Japan. And next up we have the Mi-28. This is the Havoc for Russian Army. Then we have an AH-64E Apache Guardian with the longbow radar. And we also have an Apache, the DJP for the Japanese military. And then we have one of my favorite helicopters, the Ka-52 Alligator. So that's what it looks like with the 2 rotor blades, transport mode. I mean, with the landing gear raised. Then we have this Kamov Ka-27PS for search and rescue. Okay, so next up we have the CH-53E Super Stallion. It's built by Hisok, Big Boom. And behind it by Hyperdog 456, the Merlin AW101. The next up we have the MV-22 Osprey. So this is like the naval version of it. And here it is flying and with the folded up wing. Next up we have the CH-47 Chinook. This is in green, but I also do have one that's in the Japanese camo. And then behind it, we have this Mi-17V5. It's used by Ukraine, so it has the colors. And then behind it, we have the Mi-2 MSB, also Ukrainian, used for training purposes. And next door, we have the Dolphin from the US Coast Guard by Montez, Mikapaka, and myself. The next up, we have some Mi-8 AMT-SH. So these are these Russian assault helicopters. They have a couple different versions. So that one right there, you can see the back, it is, flat ramp in the back. Well, this one has like a round appearance. And then this one is going to be gray, so 3 variations. Then next we have this Ukrainian Mi-8 MT. And here's another Mi-8. This is the MSBV for naval aviation. And then we have, I think it's a Mi-17, yep, V5. These are ex-Afghanistan. Alright, next up we have some Seahawks. So these are the MH-60. This one is the S. That's the R. And the way you can tell between these two is this landing gear in the back. This one's like a leg that sticks out, while this one's like a vertical wheel that goes up and down. And also, I think the front part, like these window parts, are going to be different. But yeah, it's a pretty common Navy thing. And then this one also has like pillars on the sides. And this one has a sono buoy right over there sticking out. And yeah, I also have the folded up version, so you can have this on your aircraft carrier or other naval ship. Then here is the drone section, UAVs. So first off, we have an Orion drone. And then here is the Orion E. These are Russian. Then here we have the FPV truck. It's on a Scania R450 for Operation Spiderweb, launching attacks against Russian airfields. Alright, then we have this Russian Orlan 10 drone, RQ-7B Shadow by Anise Leaf. Then here's a Lancelet 3. And then here's the Shahed 136, or the Geran 2 in Russian name. And this is with like a little cart. Then here is the US Army MQ-1C Great Eagle. Behind it, it is a MQ-9 Reaper drone by Anise Leaf as well. And here's the TB2 Bayraktar, used by Ukraine, and Turkey made these. And the back is the Global Hawk, the RQ-4B by Martacha and myself. Alright, and then we have the Renzo Hochan. These are the turrets used by Shimakaze. So I have two different ones here. This is like a regular one. And this guy, he got injured, so there's like bandages, and you know, his gun's a little messed up. And then on his buoy, it says Zekamashi, which is Shimakaze backwards. Alright, let's move up to the naval section. So right over here, we have some LCACs. These are by Mick Alpaca. And yeah, here's what it looks like in transport, quite a lot. The US Navy. And next door, we have the Hayabusa missile boat, or like patrol boat or something like that, used by the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force. And I recently finished this. This one is the Abukuma. The JS Abukuma is a destroyer escort ship, DE-229. Yeah, I really like how it came out. Then next door we have the Arleigh Burke. This is by Sketsy, and it's a Flight 1, the USS Arleigh Burke. And next door we have the Ticonderoga class cruiser, also by Sketsy. And yeah, these were pretty big ships for tutorials. And down here, this is by Commenter. This is the IJN Fubuki, and it's the odd one out because it's a 1-to-1 scale. So it's different from everything else. It's like really small. And next to that, we have the USS Freedom, which is a littoral combat ship. Unfortunately, it was retired. This one's by Martacha NL. Next to that, by Laffy, we have a Type 7C used by the Kriegsmarine in Germany during World War II. And here's the US Navy Fletcher class destroyer. This is built by Laffy. Alright, and then the row behind it, we have the Slava class cruiser. This is by Shu 76, and it's supposed to be the Moskva. And then next to that, we have the USS Wisconsin. This is by Vane Shinden, and yeah, it's an Iowa class battleship for the US Navy. Then we have some Kirov battle cruisers by Shu 76 again. So one is Kirov, the other one is Peter something Velikiv, either Soviet or Russian. And next to that, we have a Liberty ship, the SS Arthur Huddle by Thomas and Chiz. And then we have the USS Theodore Roosevelt Nimitz-class aircraft carrier. So this one is with a full deck with all these aircraft on it. And the other one, it has less stuff with the elevators going down. And then the last one, I just have an empty deck, so you guys can customize it however you want. Alright, and then for our last ship in the back, we have a US Navy Iowa-class submarine, and this could fire the Trident D5 ICBMs right in there. Alright, now moving back to aircraft, we have the Halo 3 Pelican dropship from Halo 3. So that's my favorite, I think, Halo style-wise. So it does have a interior, and the one in the back, they just raised up the landing gear. It's also built in 2-to-1 scale. And then here we have Antonov An-225 Mriya for Ukrainian Airlines maybe, with the stripes. And yeah, it used to be the largest aircraft, now it is no more, so rest in peace Mriya. And then next up we have the C-130J-30, which has an extended fuselage for the US Air Force. And this is the AC-130U Spooky gunship by Anise Leaf, which I do need a redesign just to make this guy into this. Next up, we have the Ilyushin IL-76MD for the Russian Air Force. And behind that, we have an Airbus A400M Atlas. I think it's for the Royal Air Force. Next up, we have the C-17 Globemaster 3 by Mick Alpaca. And Sunset War and I also helped with the design of it. And behind that, we have another Ilyushin IL-76. But this one, I just lowered, like, I opened the back section up so you guys can see the ramp. And we did it for an animation. And then we have the Elena C-27J Spartan by Mick Alpaca, US Air Force. Then we have a C-47. This is a Skytrain used in the D-Day airborne troops. And then here we have the largest US Air Force plane, the C-5M Super Galaxy, and this is by Sketsy, so yeah. pretty large. Then here we have a C2 Greyhound. These are used on Nimitz carriers, but I think they've been retired and replaced by the V-22. And then we have the Antonov Airlines An-74 Cheburashka. Here's another one, but it's the An-72 for the Russian Air Force. So moving up to attack planes. So right over here we have the A-10 Warhawk. And the difference between these two guys is that that one's normal, but this one, they have a shark nose in the front. So it looks like this, I don't know, like practically the same though. And behind that, we have a Su-25 Frogfoot. This is by Mr. Sweet for Russian Air Force. Then we have a F-117 Nighthawk by Evo and myself. Then we have a Super Tucano. This is by Kabi. It's a Brazilian Air Force. And then we have a Su-25. This is for Ukraine, so I modified Mr. Sweet's design to make this livery. Then here we have a F-4 Phantom J. This is Showtime 100. And now we have the Su-34, the fullback. It looks like a big duck. It's ultra-wide cockpit, and it's like in black. And then here's another one. Apparently it has the Fab 500 bombs under the wings. So next up we have the Su-24M Fencer. It's actually, I think, one of my favorite Soviet planes. So here it is in Soviet livery, and it actually like transforms the wings so you're spread out. And here's slightly angled, and here's all the way back. Go supersonic. I also made some Ukrainian ones, so you can see back over there. That one has, I don't know, is this like fuel tanks or something, some kind of missile? That one has some kind of missile underneath. And yeah, I also made the other versions as well. And I recently finished up the Tupolev Tu-160. This one's for the Russian Air Force, the Alexander Novikov, and it does have the ladder to access the inside. And I also have it with the swept-back wing and the other livery where it has that red and blue stripe on the tail. And I also have a Ukrainian one, which they have in a museum in Poltava, so it is slightly weathered. The next we have the B-2 Spirit Stealth Bomber. This is by Hisok 05. It's a really cool design. Then we have a B-52 Strato Fortress by an Easy Leaf, and I made it gray, but we needed overhaul the design still. And then here is a Tu-95 MS Bear. It's a Soviet-Russian strategic bomber, so this is the Saratov. And then this one, it's armed with some KH-101 cruise missiles. Then in the back, we have some Tupolev Tu-22M3. So this is armed with some KH-22 missiles. They're on the sides. And then these ones, they are the KH-32. So they're red. And then this one doesn't have the armaments under the hard points. Soviet bomber, and here it is another one, swept back wings. So next up we have a B-29A Super Fortress. This is by Martacha NL. It's by the US. And then here we have a B-17 Flying Fortress by Kabi and myself. Then here is a B-24 Liberator, the J model of it. And then the one in the back, this one just opens up the bomb bay, so you can see this is slightly open. And then behind it, we have a Stuka Ju-87 for German Air Force. So that's it for the bombers, and now there's some more extra cargo planes. So here is the An-26. This one is Russian, and the one behind it is going to be Ukrainian. So got the Trident. Then we have the Ukrainian IL-76 MD. So got the roundel right there, as well as the Trident on the tail. And the one behind it just has the yellow stripe running along with the blue as well. Then there's another one. It's like this dark gray livery and with yellow writing. We also have the An-12BK for the Russian Air Force. And then we have an An-12B for Antonov Airlines. And for our last category is aerial refuelers. So this is the KC-10. This is by Mick Alpaca. And behind that, we have the KC-135 Stratotanker. And I also have one where it's actively refueling this F-15 right here at the back with the boom. I also have the Russian aerial refueler. This is the IL-78M Midas. So yeah, here's what it looks like. An interesting thing, it has like this extra attachment tank here along the boom just on one side. Then here's what it looks like when they have like these refilling hoses that come out, and they're going to be on both sides. And again, if you guys want to download this, there's a world download and it helps support the channel, available on Java and Bedrock. Let me know what your guys' favorite build was in the arsenal in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.